as Genius Me forgets to put the right stream key in the broadcast. We're officially live now.
Oh, are we?
We're officially live.
All right, you need to go check out GracePointe Healthcare, Jets Pizza, IHateBuyingInsurance.com, and DrSterlingFoster.com. There's your recap of our sponsors.
Yep, all of our great sponsors, and what a great weekend of football. The MTAC Championship is set. The Independence Bowl concluded, and it's time to get into our usual recaps. We'll start out with the Independence Bowl between the Freedom Cowboys and the Tennessee Heat. That game occurring up in Mount Juliet, 54-39. The Freedom Cowboys got it done on the road, 2-0 against the Heat this year. And James, it's a score like that. There was a huge storyline to it as well, but for all of the developments and everything going on for the Tennessee Heat to at least put up that much against the very big powerhouse and Freedom team that's going down to Florida for the NHSA tournament. It's looking pretty cool, so congratulations to the Freedom Cowboys.
Well, it was back and forth, and right off the bat, I do want us to keep Mr. 8, number 8, Carter Rory, in our thoughts and prayers. Had to be ambulanced off the field Friday night, looking at some concussion issues. So the MRI came back all right. He's got to sit out 2 weeks of any activity, is what I was told. So definitely keep him in our thoughts, but. Just a back and forth game. We've seen it all year with the Heat. They don't go away. I'm just back and forth, but you look at it and it's tough. They bring in the Corley twins about halfway through the year, and you look. Obviously, the teams they beat are teams that are rebuilding or struggling, but they still hadn't lost a game going into it, and it didn't. At one point it was 26-24, and it was just really tight. It was 30. The Heat led 34-30. At the half, actually 34-32 at the half, and so it's just a tight ball game back and forth. But the Heat are going to come back and come back strong. They've got an 11-man game coming up this Friday up in Dayton. The little bit of a bi-state matchup rather. So they're going to have a good matchup up there. We'll keep an eye on it. But congrats to the Heat on a great season. I think they ended up 5-7 overall. So great season for them.
I think they've got one more game next week.
That's what I said. This Friday they go up to Fort Bluff, taking on a team out of Maryland. I don't know that it's Baltimore. It might be Washington, D.C., but going to play an 11-man game up there. So kind of get a feel for it, and they might do a split 11-8 schedule next year. So this will kind of give them a good judgment. It'll be a good judgment. Good feel for. I mean, they're only losing 2 seniors, so they'll kind of see how their guys respond to it.
And Isaiah, you played against the Tennessee Heat this season on the coaching side, but you guys didn't have the chance to play against the Freedom Cowboys this year as compared to the previous years. So you've seen what both teams are capable of and such. What was your take on that score?
Yeah, and the Freedom Cowboys had a remarkable season, especially against Tennessee teams this year. But on the other side, you see the game sort of went how it went earlier this season, score-wise.
4-1.
Yeah. For the Heat, though, you can see that they lost a lot of guys last year, and they gained a lot of guys this year, maybe that hadn't played football or maybe coming from somewhere else. And in a way, it was sort of a rebuilding year, but on the contrary, they took the most of it and are reestablishing a winning culture for the Heat. So there's going to be let's say they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have a bright future ahead of them, and they're not losing a lot of guys, like James said.
Not compared to last year, at least. Last year they lost at least 5 starters, and this year, just coming back and making the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs this year. So Coach Scott has done a great job bringing that program back from where they had to co-op with HCA just 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the Heat, they have one more game to see how 11-man is going to work out for their program. Freedom Cowboys, they have one or maybe 2 games in Florida, in Panama City. So we'll start with the playoff games. We'll start with you, James, the game you and Matthew Bowden called. 42-6. I know the predictions were up in the air. It was split down the middle on that one, but Christian Community got the victory at home in May Flanders Field against Lancaster Christian. Got some revenge from their game earlier where Lancaster dealt them their first regular season loss since about 2016, I believe. So incredible for the Colts to keep the dynasty going for the club. Just fantastic for the Colts, and there's a reason why they're in the championship for the 3rd straight year.
Well, that bye week, I think teams are now going to see the importance of that week because the Colts were able to get healthy during that and able to have be at full strength, minus maybe 1 or 2 guys. but overall be able to be at full strength. And so when they came out full strength, they had time to prepare for Lancaster. Lancaster had to play the week before, so you get to scout them when they can't really scout you because you're not playing at the same time. That was a big move, and this coaching staff was able to break some stuff down. And really, ever since they played early in the season, there's been one key for Lancaster, and it's can you put pressure on Deuce Bragg? And they put pressure on him. Josh Madden had a sack. They almost got a safety on him earlier in the first half, so they were able to pressure Bragg throughout the game. And then Micah Jones was able to hit Brooks Pugh, Johnny Stapleton, these guys that maybe have had a little bit quieter years, maybe to some people, but you look stats-wise, and they were able to really show up. They held Lancaster to 6 points. Lancaster averaged 50 points a game. They just could not find an answer against the defense. Avery Harper, like I said, Josh Madden on defense, Brooks Pugh, Micah Jones at corner. You also had Johnny Stapleton guarding, and so Deuce was just not. They weren't able to get the ball running, because if you can run the ball, most of the time you can get going. They weren't able to run the ball in Christian Community, and it's just a real testament to the coaching staff and being able to make those adjustments. We talk about halftime adjustments, but pregame adjustments are important too.
Yeah, and it's been an up and down year for CCS, especially losing your quarterback from last year and your two running backs, the top running backs. But they have definitely adjusted this year, and I think a lot of it has to do with quarterback Micah Jones, and also not to mention Brooks Pugh, and also Johnny Stapleton going in there and filling a hole that he needed to. And those two, you could put one or the other in any position, and they would both play very well. And the pieces click together at exactly the right time, and now they find themselves in the championship.
Yep, and the Colts now are going to play to take the record of most MTAC championships potentially from your alma mater, Franklin Classical. They have a chance to play for that against their opponent, who got the victory in the semi. You and I had the pleasure of calling, Isaiah. Ezel Harding got the job done at home, 72-34 against Riverside Christian. And it's interesting because that game that we were able to call, it was closer towards the beginning. They were starting to go back and forth, but we saw more of what James and I saw in the fourth quarter of their first matchup back in August, where Ezel just turned on the Jets, didn't let any more scores really happen, and just had preventative defensive measures to keep that score down for Riverside, and up by 20, just continued to build it up and up and up. So for Ezel Harding, just a fantastic score for them. Fantastic victory for them, especially now they have a chance to play for their first championship, bring it home to their school for the first time since 2001.
Yeah, and at 8-man, different than 11-man. You see that a lot of times people have this proponent in their head that offense wins games and defense doesn't matter. But that's just not the case, and we saw that on Friday because sure, your offense can put up 34 points and possibly have an opportunity to put up more points. But if you can't get stops, that's where it becomes a problem. Sometimes they were going back and forth. You'd see a score from Riverside, you see a score from Ezel, but just those times where just they couldn't score, had to punt it, and unable to stop Ezel on any of their drives just made this become the lopsided game that it was.
I didn't get a chance to go back and watch the game, but you tell me what was the mistake situation, because you look at that first matchup, and it was Ezel Harding coughing the football up in the first half. Riverside was able to take advantage of that, and that's how they had the 30-30 tie going into the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, David Black starts throwing a couple interceptions. Ezel Harding capitalizes on that, and that's what was the difference. So what was the turnover situation like?
Well, at the beginning of the season with Ezel, you saw them doing plays that they did run the the option quite a bit, but a lot of their offense was done with handoffs to Kadarius Price,
right?
Him coming in motion or him lining up as the running back.
I think they maybe passed twice in the game.
Yeah,
we saw that entire night.
Or they do a fake and Derek Griffin would keep it, or they'd fake the handoff to Kadarius and run some slants. Maybe if the defense crashes outside. But I saw for the first time, I believe, throughout this season where they were just committing 100% to that speed option. And in that situation, they've completely trusted Derek Griffin to run this offense. And I think he made all the right reads on Friday. And the defense kind of has to decide, who are we going to pick to kill us? Because with Derek Griffin, you have the fastest player on the field. And Kadarius Price, you have an absolute monster. Like, which one are you going to choose from? And Riverside, I don't think they made the decision before the fourth quarter buzzer started sounding.
Yeah, it's just one of those matchups.
Well, and they hung in there too,
yeah, exactly,
for a little bit. But you look
just
at the
0 stops on defense.
That's what I'm saying, though.
It didn't matter. If
But
they gave it to
you
him
look at all the
30 yards
weapons
out
that
or 80
Ezel Harding
yards out.
has. You look at all the weapons Ezel Harding has. I mean, you go down the list. Okay, just take out Griffin and Price. You still got Coleman. You still got Liddell. You still got Hunt.
Liddell came in and pretty much kept the same pace that Kadarius Price had.
That's what I'm saying.
It was just they have so many running attacks. You really have to pick your poison against Ezel because they really don't have any blind spots, especially on the offensive end.
Exactly.
It was an incredible win at home, and now Ezel Harding playing against Christian Community to bring back their first championship since 2001, playing for that in about 6 days' time from now. While we're getting our guests set up in studio for getting their mics on and everything, just want to get a look at the playoff bracket right now. So updated with the scores and everything. It's at 7 p.m. on November 9th. The Colts collide with the Ezel Eagles for the 2019 MTAC Championship. It's going to be a really good matchup to see, and who better to talk about it than our in-studio guests. We have the head coaches for both of the championship teams, Coach Jordan Flanders from Christian Community, Coach Dustin McGee from Ezel Harding, and each of them have their respective players, the senior Micah Jones and senior Alex Valbuena. Gentlemen, congratulations. Not a senior, that's right. It's a sophomore. Yeah.
But he's a sophomore.
Yeah. It's one of those things where there were several people asking us.
Read a
about
roster,
some people.
Spencer.
Yeah, exactly.
Read a roster
I need the roster
Jeez.
in front of me for that. But congratulations for both of your teams making the championship. Of course, with Ezel making the move to 8-man football. Seeming like a really good move for you guys, of course, and Christian Community being in 4 of the last 5 championships, I believe. It's been incredible to see, and best of luck to both of you guys in the championship this Saturday. So we'll start out with you, Coach McGee. Obviously, we had you on the show preseason about the move to 8-man football and how that decision came about and such. What's the kind of thoughts now that you guys have a chance to play for a championship, and just your thoughts going into that position to win the state championship?
I mean, I think we made the right choice. Last year we had a roster of 17 guys eligible to play in the playoffs first round, and we knew that, for our guys to just have fun playing this game, we needed to do something different. So, 8-man was a great choice. We came into the season knowing that we could be good. We had a lot to learn, obviously. I think you could see that from game 1 till now. We've grown a lot in the way that we do things, the way that we teach things. But we're just extremely excited to be here, and I'm just so glad my guys get to have this opportunity.
And Alex, as a sophomore, you've got with several seniors that are going to be graduating in the spring. You have the chance to give them a championship for their school. What does that mean to you to have that opportunity?
I don't know. It feels nice. Anytime you get the chance to play for a championship is always a good feeling. So I just want to go out there and give them my best before they leave and make that year worth it for them.
And Micah, you've been with CCS for several years as well. You've been through those championship teams, and of course last year when you won the state championship, 2017, I believe you were with them when you won the national championship. What makes this more special going into your senior year to have the chance to win a state championship as your final game potentially with your football brethren?
It just makes it a little bit different because past 2 years we've won nationals and state. I did play wide receiver, and I was Nathaniel Rowley's backup, or as I know him now as Coach Rowley. So it's a little different, leading the team into this and being the helm of the offense and trying to make the right adjustments at the line. Just being able to lead the team and my group of seniors to the championship has been a real great opportunity.
It's not Coach Tiny.
If I call him Coach Tiny,
Coach Flanders goes, nope.
No.
If I call him Coach Tiny, I got rolls down the field, so I don't feel like doing that.
Man.
That's great. And Coach Flanders, this is overall as a player and coach, this is your 7th MTAC championship. As a coach, this is your 6th, of course, the head coach, several years there and such. What makes this one more what now that you've been in this situation where you've been on that coaching staff and the championship for state for several years now, does it seem any different to you this year at all from the previous?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Each one has its own takes on its own character. I mean, we haven't, none of our teams. We played in one in 2015. That team looked completely different from 2017. 2018, maybe some of the names are similar, but the way we ran things was different. You know, and now you're in 2019. We've had to run things different. So they've all had their own special character to them. So none of it's taken for granted. You know, I mean, we were playing a team in the semifinal that beat us by 20 earlier in the year, so it wasn't a walk in the park. Train of thought there. So
Now, Alex, obviously as a sophomore, it's a little bit different. You don't really have post-high school plans yet, unless you're like really planned out. But Micah, as a senior, you know, it's something you constantly have to think about. What are some post-season plan or post high school plans, if there's any at the moment?
Yeah, right now I've been accepted to Tennessee Tech to go for an undergraduate degree, so I'm looking at doing that and going into the communications to be a sports analyst or sports writer type deal.
All right.
Awesome. I'm also talking to a couple of schools out in Illinois for some chance to play football.
Make sure you get his number.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I mean, hey, you've been accepted by TTU. MTSU is a great journalism program as well. So I did shout out my alma mater.
Yeah.
But it's, congratulations on that and getting accepted.
Appreciate that.
It's going to be really great. So, Alex, like you said, you're a sophomore, so you've got a few years to think about it. Do you have any considerations of if you're wanting to pursue football as a career or go into something else like that?
Yeah, I plan on playing football in college if I have the opportunity to. But if it doesn't, I'll just try and pursue something with sports in it that I like to do.
Let's change it up a bit. What are post-football plans? Y'all get done with your trip to Florida. You play basketball?
Nah, I play baseball.
Okay. All right. So you got to get ready for baseball, huh?
Yeah.
Where you play?
Oh,
where-
outfield, my bad.
Outfield. Okay. I got you.
Not too bad. Which MLB team do you support?
Yankees.
Yankee. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
We argue about that one a lot.
Sad times.
It's funny. So I'll start with you again, Coach McGee, on this. We talked about it a little bit. Last year. That we talked about this with Coach Flanders and such. And you and I have had these discussions on the field and such. But just to get people kind of to give them a perspective, kind of through your shoes on game day. What is the sort of game day routine you have for your guys and your players, like stuff you guys do to get in your mindset, get correct, and going on the field? Just help the people understand, just to walk through what a normal game day looks like for you.
Yeah. So at ESO, we got a school at 2:45, and then we head to a team dinner at 3 o'clock. From there, we always go take a nap on home games. Something I learned from my coaching time in Arkansas is naps can scientifically help you a little bit. So we take advantage of that about 30 minutes, and then we'll usually watch a movie of some sorts. We've kind of gotten into the All or Nothing series on Amazon. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen those, it's really good.
It's not bad.
We'll do that, and then we after that, we always go and walk the field wherever we're at, just kind of as a team. We'll just lock up and just take a stand on whatever field we're on. We're just going to walk it together and enjoy that experience, and head inside and hit the field around 6 o'clock for warm-ups, and from there we go.
Well, that explains the coffee.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you got
waking up
the
from
coffee
a nap.
pre stuff. Alex, is there anything specifically you do on game day to kind of get your mindset and get right? Any pregame rituals or anything like that?
Just before the game, I mean, just listen to some music. That's about it.
What's your go-to? If you're told you can only listen to one song.
Icon.
Okay.
Jane Smith.
All right.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No judgment.
Exactly. What about you, Micah?
Usually I get out of school around about 11:45. So I go home, eat some lunch, take a little power nap, get all my stuff together, come back to the school, just kind of spend some quality time with my guys before the game. Then we'll have our walkthrough before the game, team dinner, and just getting our minds right, set before the game.
Now, Coach Flanders, we mentioned it last year with this conversation, but just for the new viewers who start to tune in, the game day for arguably one of the better coaches in MTAC.
Arguably?
That's why I say arguably,
Definitely.
debatably, debatably. I mean, it's all up to interpretation.
Well, I've had a lot of good players, so that probably helps. But
No, for sure.
yeah, well, we typically I'll go through our offensive stuff. Coach Thornton will go through defensive stuff. We'll correct any kind of special teams, and then we dismiss the guys for 5 to 7 minutes to go bathroom, fix any last-second changes, and then I usually go brush my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So then we come back together and we go out to the field. So that's the actual game day thing. But
How long have you had that routine? The brushing the teeth.
2017.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
started
right.
it.
So it just
It's
started.
not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I was wondering if you were doing it when I was playing.
No.
I was wondering.
Probably should have, but no, didn't do it. I didn't talk to officials as much then, so I feel like you get better calls. You're standing there right by him, and he's not like.
Exactly. Yeah.
But maybe I could go with the bad breath situation.
Who knows?
You make a bad call, I'm gonna be over there close. So.
Is that why we've gotten so many touchdowns called back this year? Is my coffee break?
Probably.
It could be.
might
It's
be
possible.
It might be it. Yeah. Just have some icebreakers on standby just in case.
Icebreakers.
That's an option. Icebreakers, gum.
What are you,
mints,
50?
Something like that. If I were
least he
50, I'd
didn't
be
say
doing
Tic
Altoids.
Tacs. At least he didn't say Tic
Tacs.
Tacs.
That would have been worse. James will probably correct me on this. This is a question that he wanted to ask.
Probably.
But I'll start with you, Coach Flanders.
Why don't you let me ask it?
If you want to go ahead. Hey,
I'll ask
go ahead.
it.
It's a question
So
like that.
at some point in the season, there's a moment that you look back on after the season. You go, okay, this is where it started. What's that moment for you guys? We'll start with Coach and just go around. What's that moment for you guys where you said, you know what? When you look back, you said this is the moment that led us to going to the state championship.
Well, let's see. I told our guys, and this is no disrespect to Franklin Christian, it just happened to be that game. I told our guys that when we look back at the season, if we wanted to get where we wanted to go, we would look back at the Franklin Christian game and say, hey, that's where we turned it around, Because I think they were our fourth game, maybe. And up until that, the first 3 games were tight, or we scored a lot, but we couldn't stop the scoring, or we got beat, or it was tight all the way through. And Franklin Christian was one of those games where we were able to get rolling and stay rolling and make enough stops to where we could separate ourselves. So as far as like turnarounds, that was where we kind of started getting on the right track. I was talking to Micah about maybe that on the way up here, and I told him, I said, I don't know that there was necessarily a turnaround. We just had to get things right. We couldn't – every time we got close to getting things right, somebody was out.
Right.
So which happens. That's going to happen. That's why you got to, hopefully train backups and threes. But, if we have to point to a game, that's where we started flowing a little bit better and finding out our identity and, okay, this is how we're going to approach this year offensively and defensively.
Gotcha.
Yeah, before the Franklin Christian game, Coach came to the locker room and said, this is the game where it turns around. So we felt like we did pretty good that game, but then after that, I felt like we kind of let off the gas pedal a little bit, and we realized we had the first seed locked up, and so we kind of, slumped off and didn't prepare as hard, and I feel like the Franklin Christian game did turn us around right then, but then when we got it locked up, we just kind of shoved everything else to the side because we had already made it to where we wanted to be, and we were already in the playoffs.
Right.
So we didn't prepare as hard as we needed to from then on out.
Right. What about you, Alex?
I feel like for us was after we faced Evangel. After that game, we knew what we needed to fix, so we went and we kept working and we kept fixing it. And after that, we were forged in the fire.
Hold your mic up a little bit.
We were forged in the fire, I guess you could say. We became a lot better team. Here's still mistakes here and there, but after that game, I think for sure that's where we started kicking things off the right way.
How about you, Coach?
Yeah, it was definitely the Evangel game. Like I said, I personally learned a lot about 8-man football from that specific game. We're very athletic. We've got guys that can do a lot of things on offense, and we kind of got by those first 3 or 4 games before we played Evangel, but Evangel was the first time playing on a 40-by-80. It was the first time seeing a defense that really gave us different looks and made us think and made me think as a play caller. And after that game, the bus ride home, 4 or 5 hours, you got a lot of time to think and talk. And we knew we were about to get a lot better from that game on. And like Alex said, it's all about iron sharpens iron, but when you put iron in the fire, it becomes steel. And
Right,
we
exactly.
talked about that a couple weeks ago, and we really think that game put us in the fire and made us a lot stronger. So.
Now, you guys both, obviously, you guys played in the Jamboree. You guys hosted it. You guys played in the Jamboree. Were there any teams that y'all played in the Jamboree that maybe played y'all a little obviously, they probably all played you different, but was there any team in the Jamboree that gave y'all more problems than maybe you thought when you looked at them in the Jamboree throughout the season? Was there somebody that you guys ended up playing, you were like, well, this was a lot harder than maybe I thought it would be per the Jamboree?
We played CCS and they beat us in the Jamboree, so
We ran like 2 plays.
we only played in one other game, and
Or maybe anybody you saw that you didn't play. That's what I was trying to get at.
anybody we saw that
I mean, if not, if there's anybody that y'all saw in the Jamboree that maybe after watching them in the Jamboree you said, well, maybe this will be, not easier because you don't want to underestimate anybody, but then you played them and you said, well, it was a little different.
Maybe a challenge to overcome.
I would say personally in the Jamboree we had no clue what we were doing because it was our very first 8-man experience.
Right.
So again, we didn't really know what to expect, what we were going to do. We had a couple of guys out in the Jamboree, so we were just learning on the fly, and
Right.
so it wasn't easy at all.
Right. Was there anybody for you, Coach?
You see, he says that we beat him, but then he says, well, we didn't have any clue what we were doing. So that tells you the story right there. No. Evangel definitely, or not Evangel, but Ezel. And Evangel will make you think about how you need to run things. They did that to us last year. But Ezel was definitely tougher the second time we played them, but they did have a lot of guys out.
Right, right.
They had a different QB, and I think their QB, when we played them, ran for like 200-something yards. So it makes a little bit of a difference. But probably Ezel would have been the team that stuck out the most. But we knew that was going to happen. We knew. That's why we wanted to play them,
Right.
Would have helped then if we'd have known they didn't know what they were doing to expect to be a lot better. But that was probably the only team. So.
Now, Mikey, your brother played in a couple state championship games. Have you gotten any advice from him, or have you talked to him, or is that something that's in the works to do so?
Reed played in a couple, but he had a lot less responsibility than I've got going into it. He just had to go out there and block somebody. So,
right.
we have talked about it. We talked
Caught
about
a
it
few
a little
passes.
bit. Yeah, some. He dropped a lot of them. We did talk a little bit about it yesterday. We were hanging out, and so he just told me to give it all I got and have no regrets coming off the field my last game.
Right, for
as
sure.
a senior, so just to give everything I had going into it.
Right.
And the preparation for it.
Now, Alex, is there anybody you got a chance to talk to, or anybody you plan to talk to kind of give you a little perspective or some advice?
Not really. I don't really have anyone to talk to about it.
I got you. I'm sure you'll do what?
He doesn't need to get any better.
I got you.
Jeez, fair enough.
What you got?
This is a good way to kind of wrap things up. We did this last year, and I think it worked really well.
No, the last 2 years.
Yeah, the last 2 years. I'll start with you on this, Coach Flanders. We'll just go around from here. We had this last year where you're very complimentary of the Webb Schools program. What's one thing you could say that you have great respect for with Ezel Harding, especially knowing they're your opponent, because you guys have had the chance to play them before? What's one thing you could say that you respect about their program or a good affirmation?
And they have really good line play. They came off fast in the Jamboree that we played them, but and then we were able, we traded film before we played them again, but the way their line comes off, we personally don't have a way to duplicate it. So it's whether it's offensive or defensive, or when they're pulling, they got guys that are bigger than anybody we have on our team pulling. So it's kind of like if we're going to practice pulling, we got to practice with a big old dummy to pull down there to maybe give a game-like rep. But I would just say the line play, which is where most of your ball games are won or lost,
Exactly.
is down there. So that would be it.
Exactly.
Mike?
Well, not only are they extremely athletic and got a good quarterback and running back in the backfield, but they are very well taught and very well coached on how to block. Their blocking scheme is nothing like we've seen before, and they are very good at what they do, and they do it all with excellence. So that's just one of the things that really stuck out to me last time we played them.
Alex for CCS.
Their experience and their coaching, the way they're coached, I can tell they're very good at what they do, obviously, but just you can tell their experience. They've been here before. They know what they're doing, so I have respect for that because, I mean, even whatever you throw at them, they still know some way to kind of deal with it.
Coach?
Well, I mean, first of all, CCS is where we want to be. I mean, they're the type of program we want to build ours around, you know, and have that success in the future, hopefully. And hopefully we can make this a yearly thing, just playing each other in championship. But, man, they play so hard. It's very evident watching every game that they play that their guys get after it from snap one to the last snap. And, I mean, they're the best coach team that we saw all year. They're going to make you think. They're going to make you work for every single thing you're going to do offensively and defensively, and they've got the playmakers to do that. So I mean, it's all, I know that it's going to be the toughest game all year.
We're looking forward to that great matchup. Again, thanks to all four of you for coming in studio today. We really do appreciate it. And again, best of luck to you all in the MTAC Championship on Saturday. All looking forward to it. Well, James. Isaiah, I think it's that time of the year again with the.
It's not the time Isaiah's looking forward to.
No.
It's the time of the year with the coaches and a player from each in studio where it's time for the predictions for who you think is going to win the MTAC Championship. Which one wants to go first? I'm going to
go.
No.
All right.
All right. All right. Oh. Yeah. All right, Mr. James. Who
right.
is taking the MTAC Championship
Well, it's
this
not
year?
just that simple of a question.
Well,
Spencer.
okay, fine. I'll present it to you in a better way. Will Christian Community be take the record for most MTAC championships and be the first team to win back-to-back since, I believe, Franklin Classical back?
Well, they're only the second team.
That's probably a harder way to phrase the
They're
question.
only the second. They're only the second team to go to 3 straight.
Will Ezel Harding win their first state championship since 2001? The floor is yours.
Do you want me to give like a statistical breakdown?
You're gonna give it to me no matter. Yeah, you will.
Anyways, all right. Listen, Micah Jones. He's at 53% passing, 900 yards, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They do running back by committee. Braden Chun, Brooks Pugh, Will Adams, Micah Jones. He ends up running a little bit. James Lassiter throws it in there. They've combined for 22 rushing touchdowns on the year. Brooks Pugh, Johnny Stapleton. We talked about them as receivers. The line, the defensive backs. You look at their tackle stats. Number one tackler is the same guy that's pretty much been the number one tackler in the conferences in the conference the llast few years. Avery Harper, he's a senior, 82 tackles, 6 tackles for loss. He is balling out this year. Josh Madden, he's sitting at 5.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries. The young man is all over it. Harper also has a couple sacks. You look at your defensive back stats. Johnny Stapleton at 2, Micah Jones at 3. In terms of interceptions, Brooks Pugh at 2. Try saying that 10 times fast. But, so across the board, not a lot of superstars, but it's a group effort. And that's the same kind of thing you see when you look at Ezel Harding. Derek Griffin, he might not be the flashy, sit in the pocket, throw the ball, 40 times a game for 500 yards, but the young man gets it done when he has to get it done. Mm-hmm. He's at 56% or 54% passing, over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 1 interception all year. He's rushed for 1,500 yards and 24 touchdowns. Kadarius Price has rushed for 1,600 yards, 24 touchdowns. They have an offense that knows how to score. Obviously, we've seen their scores all year. They know how to put the ball in the end zone. Defensively wise, of course, we've talked about Alex Valbuena. Where's it at? 40 total tackles. You got Andrew Webster sitting at 59 tackles. Steinley sitting at 46. So, across the board, you look at their sacks. Braden at 3, Valbuena at 3. 7 tackles for loss for each of them. In terms of interceptions, Klingenberg has 3. Griffin, Price, Hunt, Webster, all with 2. Okay? These are 2 teams that there are no clear superstars. To get to the championship, you've got to have a team effort, and that's what both of these teams have brought to the field for Saturday night. Now, here's the moment. Okay? I have fought, ever since I graduated and started 8-Man Extreme, I have fought the homer, the biased label. I have fought it and fought it and fought it. Guess what? I'm going to fight it all week because at the end of Saturday night, just after sometime after 9 o'clock, after playing in their third straight state championship, Christian Community is going to hold the trophy. Now, it's not going to be a blowout. It will be a tight game. But Christian Community is going to win the championship Saturday night. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong 13 times this year. If I'm right, I've been right 47 times this year. So there you go. Isaiah, floor is yours.
Isaiah, this time for the worst part of the show. I hate doing this, but I guess I have to. So, like you said, CCS, it has been an up and down year, but they're experienced. They have experienced guys. They have an experienced coaching staff, and they've not only won the games that they've needed to win, they have dominated those games. But on the flip side, we're seeing an offense that we've never seen in MTAC history. In their first year, the numbers that they're able to put up in every game is just mind-boggling. We see, it's going to be a defensive stand. That's what we were expecting on Friday. We thought Riverside's defense was going to come in and play one of the strongest defenses in the MTAC. We see 60 in the first half. That's just unfathomable. It's a bad basketball score. It means you didn't play good defense on a basketball team.
They look like Franklin Classical from 2011, Webb from 2013. All these championship teams, they look like it.
I think even better offensively. I would go as far to say
you're a stats guy.
That I have been connected with 8-man football for a while, and this is the most incredible offensive showing I've ever seen. And for that reason, I'm going to take Ezel. I have no indicator of what Saturday night's going to bring score-wise. I can just assume that it's going to be hard to stop that offense. But I'm going to say that it could honestly go either way. But I am picking Ezel in this one.
You want to put a bet on it?
Okay. Well, as long as it doesn't involve cold water,
we'll figure out something.
I already have to jump in the river on Dayton on the mountain after losing that Battle of Franklin.
Guess what? If Falcons hadn't lost, you wouldn't have had to do it.
No, that is true. If they had gotten the job done.
Spencer, I knew all along the result of that.
No,
game.
you didn't. You waited until about 30 minutes before
you
the
did
game
have
to figure out
you
the
did
bet.
have
Don't
the
even
ability to
start.
tamper with the results because you were coaching.
I said, no, you have to put on a jersey. You know what sounds better? Getting in a cold river.
Yeah, you didn't say that until 30 minutes beforehand because you didn't want to put on
I'm
the
pretty
jersey.
sure I came up with that idea.
I know.
Yeah, you came up with that idea.
I jumped at it.
All right.
Well, split down the middle.
There you go.
We got Saturday at 7 p.m. We'll be live at about 6:30 for the 2019 MTAC Varsity Football
Let's not forget what else is coming up.
Oh, yes, Friday.
What about that fire logo?
Oh, you're talking about the All-Star
The All-Star game.
Shameless self-promotion. But yes,
2019 Chick-fil-A Extreme All-Star game coming up next Saturday.
Yep.
Next
16th.
Monday we'll have our mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
Finalizing coaches and captains for that, so we'll announce that when it's finalized.
Thank you, Isaiah, for the logo.
Yeah, thanks, Isaiah.
Shout out to
Looks
Isaiah.
Good. Looks absolutely great.
Logo looks good.
Appreciate it. I didn't have to do much.
You had to play with it a little bit. You had to tweak it a little bit.
Didn't have to put as much effort into it. But, yeah, the All-Star game, the festivities start next week with Sunday. We announce the coaches and captains Monday. Got the mock draft to announce all the players that will be in it. Thursday, we have the actual draft. We'll probably do something Friday. Who knows? We'll do some
something
Friday. Maybe do the pickup basketball thing.
We'll do that on Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
Saturday, we'll have the game.
Yep.
Saturday night, we'll head to Florida. And then on Monday, the 18th, we'll have a couple of game broadcasts from down in Panama City, the NHSA tournament.
Oh, yeah. The stretch is going to be crazy. That's why I have this on me right now, Entertainer Secret. That's why I've got that spray right next to me. That's why I've got this.
Icebreakers and some Amazon knockoff? What?
It's not an Amazon knockoff.
Please.
It's name brand.
Please.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for Extreme Radio presented by GracePointe Healthcare today. 7 p.m. The MTAC Championship starts on Saturday between the Colts of Christian Community and the Eagles of Ezel Harding. Just a reminder, Extreme Radio, you're taking off the headset too early, James. We got our sponsors.
Thanks for the reminder.
So, Extreme Radio presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to gracepointhealthcare.com. Request your appointment online. Mention you're with 8-Man Extreme, and you get $20 off your new patient office visit fee. GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. We're also sponsored by Dr. Sterling Foster. Visit drsterlingfoster.com for all your digestive issues and chiropractic needs.
I've said it all year. It's so delicious you could eat too much Jets and have those digestive issues. Jets Pizza. That's what's up. If you're in Clarksville, Fort Campbell, or Springfield, coming soon to Goodlettsville, go get your Jets pizza. But no matter where you are, it's always a great time to say, let's get Jets. And it's always a great time to find a great deal on insurance. That's why I love IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Our buddy Joe Graves. Just check him out. See what he can do for you. It's not a fun process. I'm about to have to go through it at work. I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I trust a professional.
You got something, Isaiah?
Yeah, the entertainer's secret tastes like hairspray.
Are you sure
That's
it's
probably
not?
yes.
Are
I'm
you sure it's not hairspray?
Why are
I'm
you
sure.
spraying that in your mouth?
Are you
This
sure
is
you're
what,
not spraying hairspray?
8-man, hour-long broadcast where
It wasn't
there were
even an hour
6
long.
or 7 other
We had a
people
47-minute
involved.
first quarter on Friday. You're telling me it's an hour-long broadcast?
You're
Come on.
straight up telling me you're spraying hairspray into your mouth.
Yeah, sure. If that's what you're going to say it is. Sure. Sure, I don't care.
All right.
MTAC Championship this Saturday between the Colts and the Eagles.
Come on
We'll
out
be
to
live.
Ezel Harding. It's
Oh,
right
yeah.
there, Saturday night. What else are you going to be doing?
It's going to be a great
I mean, I
matchup
know
for
Alabama, LSU's that, but come on, really.
Sure. Yeah, the number 1 seeds.
Who cares
collide.
about watching that?
For James Shannon, Isaiah Austin, J.D. Young, all the hardworking men and women that make 8-Man Extreme so successful, I'm Spencer Thompson. We'll see you for the championship in 6 days.
See ya!